HTML is the language used to describe the structure and content of a web page. But what does it mean in practice? Let's fire our code editor. Now, I'm assuming you are new to coding, and this empty document here where you are supposed to write code and create a web page can be intimidating. But don't worry, you just need time to get used to this new perspective. Okay, let's try this exercise. I want to create CodyHouse homepage from scratch. I'll start by putting down what I see, as if I was taking a note about the content of this page. So first of all, we have the title, CodyHouse. Then we have the main navigation. I'll just consider courses, library, and search. So it's basically a list. Courses, library, and search. Then we have the heading, a free library of HTML, CSS, JS nuggets. We have a call to action. So it's a button, browse library. Then we have some more text, latest sources. And finally, we have another list. This time it's a list of images. So I'm just going to put image 1, image 2, image 3, and image 4. Now, let's save this document and let's title it homepage.html. Now, let's open this HTML file we just created using the browser. Here we go. Now, obviously, it doesn't look at all like the actual CodyHouse homepage. However, the content is there. So even if in a plain, unstylish way. So when we said that HTML is the language used to describe the content of a web page, we meant it literally. Now, one quick note, the environment we just created, code editor on one side and web page on the other, will be your workspace during this course. Coding a web page is not about writing code for hours and then just exporting the website. It's a dynamic process where you often need to preview what you're doing in the browser. Now, one thing you may have noticed is that the browser does not recognize the white space inside the code editor. What we're missing here is the second bit of the HTML definition. HTML is not only content, but also structure. Now, if you were working in a text editor like the Google Docs one, at this point, you would just select Browse Library and click on the link button to insert the page address or the URL. Or maybe you would select a free library of HTML, CSS, and JS nuggets and set this text to be the heading of the page. Now, what we do in HTML is very similar, except that we don't have buttons. What we have is tags, and you have to insert them manually. For example, a free library of HTML, CSS, and JS nuggets, as we were saying before, it's the heading, so we wrap it inside the h1 tag. While browse library is a link to another page, so we wrap it inside an anchor tag. And we specify the link by using the href attribute. So I'm going to click here, copy this link, and paste it here as attribute value. Perfect. Now, we have two lists, the main navigation and the list of images, and we can wrap them both inside an unordered list tag. Here we go. By the way, notice that the only difference between the opening tag and the closing tag is the / inside the closing tag. Now, inside the list, each item will go inside a list item. I'm going to copy this and paste it twice, then replace courses here with library and the courses here with search. Let's remove this. Let's copy this list and let's use the same structure for the list of images. I'm going to replace this with image 1, image 2, image 3, and a file we need image 4. Okay. Finally, we need another anchor tag for the logo. So we're going to wrap this inside another anchor tag. And this time the link is the CodyHouse homepage. And we are going to use a paragraph tag for the text here. Perfect. Now, at this point, it's not important that you memorize the tags I'm using. In the next lesson, we'll talk about the most common HTML tags. What's important for you to understand here is the logic behind the HTML language. Now, if we save this page and we refresh the browser, as you can see, the web page has changed. By using tags, we have passed information to the browser about the content populating our HTML document. We have defined a structure. Now, the reason why the heading is bold and the list items have bullets is because even if we haven't applied any style yet using CSS, the browser, by default, applies some basic style. Now, even though the browser is properly rendering our HTML document, we're missing some fundamental information. First of all, for this document to be a valid HTML document, we need to wrap all the content inside an HTML tag. Let's do it. So I'm going to write an opening HTML tag on top of everything and a closing HTML tag at the bottom. Then inside the HTML tag, we need to create two main elements. The body that will contain all the content of our web page. So once again, body and body. And the head that we can use to pass information to the browser. So head. Like, for example, the title of our web page. My first website. If you save it and you refresh the browser, you can see the title has changed. Now we can use the head also for setting specifying which character set we're using, or for setting a viewport width and initial scale, so that we are ready, we are all set up to create a responsive design. Finally, on top of the document, we need to declare a doc type. So here I'm writing doc type HTML. The doc type is used to declare to the browser which HTML version we are using. In our case, we are using HTML5, the latest version at this time. Okay, now this is a bunch of code to remember. I can see myself writing all this stuff just by memory, but likely we don't have to. We can create a snippet. A snippet is a region of reusable code that we can save so that we don't need to write it from scratch every time. Let me show you how to create a snippet in Sublime Text. Just go to Tools, New Snippet. Now, this snippet is supposed to be the starting point of an HTML5 project. So I'm just going to copy everything and I'll paste it right here. Now, I'm replacing the title with a field variable. And I'll do the same with the content of the body, because these two parts will probably change with every project. Now, don't worry about the variables. This is not HTML, but this is something really useful, and I'll show you why in a second. So we can get rid of this. Now, for this snippet to work, we need a tab trigger. which is the word we need to write in order to trigger the snippet. So notice that in Sublime you can comment or uncomment text pieces of code just by pressing command / or I'm guessing on a Mac. I'm guessing on a Windows is control /. So I'm setting as the word as triggerer new. And I'm specifying also the scope, which in this case is simply text.html. Now just press Command S to save on a Mac or Control S on a Windows. And okay, you can just save it here, the snippet. However, I prefer to organize my snippets in folders. As you can see, I have an HTML folder, and this is where I already saved my snippet, and the title that I chose is new. Just remember, pick your own title. Just remember to use the Sublime-snippet extension. Okay, so I'm not gonna save it a second time. Now let's try this out. So let's create a new document. Make sure that this new document is an HTML document. So let's set the syntax to be HTML. Then write new and press the tab key. And here it is, the starting point of our new web project. As you can see, the cursor is inside the title tag, because that's where I put my first field marker while I was creating the snippet before. Now I can write new title, new project, then just press tab to move to the next field marker, which is the body content. Okay, that's all for this lesson. Now we have a basic understanding of what an HTML document is and how it's structured. In the next lesson, we'll take a look at the most common HTML tags.